So I really have to pay attention. I've had an indication of this forever. Even when I first started driving, I shouldn't tell this story. When I first started driving, I was so excited. You know, when you first get that taste of freedom, all I wanted was donuts. You know, because it's the simple things in life that really ground you. So I went and got donuts, and I was trying to, come back home, and I was making this right hand turn, a simple turn, um, and I hit the curb, at the right angle, and the tire exploded, imploded. All you know is it went from good to metal grinding. You know that noise that your car starts making? You go, wait a minute, that's not ever supposed to happen. That's like worse than nails on a chalkboard. Oh, you ever just say something and you just start to like feel it? I'm gonna get way off track here, but you ever seen those like goo packets that people eat? You know, those ultra high marathon runners or athletes, or just sometimes you gotta get some goo. It's all protein and good for you, but like I've heard the story of these like ultra marathon runners who run for like 3 days straight without sleep, and they're just eating these goo packets as goo. I mean, oh, and if that just feels like cement going down into your body. Like after a while, like how many goo packets eat before it's just there's before your goo. Anyway, so I was getting these donuts, which, not much, way different. Probably should have gotten the goo, but I got these donuts. I was so happy for the donuts. I wanted to protect them. They rode shotgun, the good seat, the primo seat. There's no one else in the car. I couldn't drive anybody. I shouldn't have been driving these donuts, but they were in the front seat. You can look at them, that glorious pink box. Some places don't do the pink box. Guys, if you're a donut shop, the pink box is crucial to the dozen. That means and everybody knows there's a party happening in that box. And I wanted these donuts more than I wanted to return home with the donuts, right? Because it's nice and fun to go, hey, but I've never gotten donuts alone. So, and a whole dozen of them, I ate a dozen donuts one time. You ever get permission to do something you know you shouldn't do? It's almost like they want you to do it because it's the only way that you're going to learn that you shouldn't do it. I remember being like, I can eat a dozen donuts. One, it was Krispy Kreme. And if anybody knows Krispy Kreme, they're number one. I apologize, but it's the original glazed. Spring back memories. I take down a dozen right now. I probably shouldn't. I got this dozen donuts. I ate the whole box before we were going to a theme park. I ate the whole box before we got to the theme park. Nothing happened like crazy, but let's just say I was moving at a snail's pace before I was even there. And every ride was like, oh, I don't know if I could. Let's just walk around some more. And then, but all the smells of the theme park, you're like, let's get a funnel cake. I have problems. So where was I? Oh yeah, the tire blew because I hit the curb. And you try and tell the story, right? Because it's a story. Because you got to call the right person. And we all know who the right person is. And you call that person. You call that person and you're like, hey, I hit the curb, the tire, no good. You don't say exploded. Don't ever use that word, especially if you're young and you got to tell an adult that you did something wrong. Exploding is not a good word. Hey, something, I made it explode. That already, you know that that's not a good case scenario. So you got to work in something different. And so using my botany skills of power, botany, chemistry, mathematics, whatever. Well, I planted into this curb, so, there's that. And it grew into an explosion. Aha. So I hit this thing and it exploded. But I didn't say that. And I've said that too many times. And so I'm sitting there and I make the call and I go, hey, I hit the curb. And when your story's not really that great because you can hear the other person who shouldn't be hearing the conversation, you can hear them shaking their head because your story is so unbelievable. You're like, yeah, I made a right hand turn. Right hand turn, that's the easiest turn in the world. And then I hit the curb at just the right angle where the tire fell off. I mean, just didn't stop working. What stopped working? What? How hard did you hit this curve? There's no way. There's no. How could a right hand turn? You're supposed to go in 5 miles an hour. How fast was he going? You start now. You're hearing them questioning out loud because their inner voice has become an outer voice. You're also on speakerphone. We all get the program that I'm paying here. It's no good for you sitting on the other side. Which for me, I had to eat a donut just to calm down. I was like, this is stressing me out. So here I am on the side of the road. Help, I think, is coming once they kind of figure out the monotony of everything, which is I can't get home because, as far as they're concerned, the tire does not work, right? Like, I've gotten that point clearly across. Tire, no work, can't go. Should have simple out of that. And so, help is on the way. Donuts not on the way to them, but now I'm stressed. And you could eat when you're stressed. And there's a box of donuts, and I'm thinking, hey, there's no harm, no foul. Somebody's got to eat these. They can't go bad. Who knows how long? Sometimes when you call for assistance, you don't get the assistance right away because they got other things to do. You don't raise to the top of the list. It's understandable. Sometimes you're like, well, I can get there in 3 hours, and you're fine, right? You got donuts. I can smell them. And you're like, why is everybody getting... That's when the phones are going to get crazy, when you can be on the phone and smell as well. I mean, not just the outside where you're at, clearly, because it's not like your nose stops working. Could you imagine you answer the phone, your nose just stops working because then, your senses, you might be having a stroke if that happens. Yeah, there you go. I might be having one right now. So eventually help came. The donuts were eaten. I don't even think I gave one to the guy that came for the assistance. He came so later that I couldn't wait. I mean, 1 turned into 2, turned into 5, turned into... I tried to close the box. You ever try that game where you're like, I can save these? And then you try and find that box later and somehow they came out of the box and disappeared into your face. So, donuts gone, delicious. Car broken, got fixed. And then, that's it. No mystery. Nothing to say. Oh, yeah, no. What actually happened was I made a right-hand turn and the donut box was sliding. And I thought, no, save donuts. Don't pay attention to the outside world where you're driving a giant piece of machinery. Yeah, those thoughts didn't cross my mind. So I looked away. Yeah, everyone's like, what? Don't do that. I did it. I looked away, held the box of delicious donuts, which some of you are like, well, donuts. And I did hit the curb, well, the center divider. And then I think the car went over. No, the car definitely went over the center divider. And I was now looking at oncoming traffic, which normally when you turn onto a street and you see cars coming at you, you know that you probably made a mistake. And then now I'm frozen because what do you do in that situation? You just went over something that clearly is not supposed to be driven over. And now you're watching cars drive at you. And then you're thinking, what are their thoughts? Because imagine you're coming down the road on the right side of the lane, your car is fine, and you see somebody on the other side where you are facing you. And they're like, that's the wrong direction. Is that a donut? And you're like, can I get some? And you're like, no. And then quickly, because now they're either going to steal your donuts, not going to happen, or they're going to crash into you because you're on a hill and they're coming down. And, that mathematics I got, no botany involved. So I drove back over the center divider. Well, either way, whether I hit it and then drove over it or I drove back over it, one of those two instances exploded the tire. And so that, folks, is how you turn a story into a positive. So, there you go. And we did some mystery boxes on top of that. And that was crazy. So the moral of the story, pay attention. Well, that's more for me than for you, clearly. So with that, thank you guys so much for hanging out, and we'll catch you guys on the next one. Until next time, bye-bye.